You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Girls After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Girls After Show.
Hey everybody, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Bing is for doing, and we are doing another episode of Girls. It's a Shame About Ray. We are in season 2, episode 4. And yes, it is a shame about Ray. Poor Ray. But what's even more of a shame is that awkward dinner that we're going to get into. But I am your host, Kelly, and hanging out with me, fighting the cold.
Yes.
Right.
I'm so sorry, peeps. It's your girl, Spicy Marty. I'm going to try to keep it as sizzling as I can. And straight across from me is the amazing
Matt Lieberman. Thanks for having me back, guys.
and Miriam Gonzalez. Hi, guys.
All right.
So welcome. I hope everybody's got some awesome plans for Super Bowl Sunday. You know, we're in red, like going for the 49ers, and Matt wanted to be, you know,
I'm just
the rebel of the group.
You know what? How about I didn't care about the Super Bowl. I just want to look good.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You're looking good,
Thank you, Spicy. I believe it when it's coming from you. Yeah.
So Hannah and Elijah go through somewhat of a divorce in the beginning of this episode. And they, you know, are going back and forth to each other. I mean, talking about, you know, furniture and butt plugs and, you know, what have you.
on chairs.
He was nickel and diming their whole relationship.
Yeah, that she shouldn't, you know, don't sit on his chair without underwear. And she, you know, she lifts up so her, you know, bare bottom is absolutely sitting on that chair.
And she just grinds it back and forth across.
Well, I like how she calls him out. She's like, you know, I already spoke with George, and George said that I can keep everything that he bought you, which is everything. That's in the apartment.
Yeah. Well, and then Elijah says, I'm not paying rent this month. And, you know, for one, I can't afford to. And for two, I bought all of your burritos in junior year.
How disgusting did that burrito sound? It was
Pecans.
like, thank you, guacamole, pecans. What else did he say that she put in there?
I love
And
how
spinach.
Yeah. Well, I love how he said it wasn't even normal burrito, like a normal girl's burrito. It was like all these add-ons.
She's like, you're my boyfriend. You're supposed to pay for me.
And then he said, and I paid for the butt plug. And she said, well, you probably still use it, so I think you should pay me.
They were going at it. It was so funny.
Well, but we talked about this last week. If she was going to go through with actually kicking him out, and she did.
Absolutely, and she had every reason to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he crossed the line, and that wasn't cool. And now she's like, get out of my face.
Yeah.
You did my best friend.
But where's he gonna go? He has no boyfriend's home to go back to. I mean, like, I know that he really screwed up and he really kind of betrayed her. But have you ever been in that situation where, like, you feel responsible for the person? She doesn't feel responsible.
Elijah is very resourceful, aka George. I think that he'll find another situation where he'll be taken care of if he doesn't already have one in the works.
Yeah, or he'll go back with his parents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
fair enough.
But you got to think too. Hannah's not responsible for anybody. She's barely responsible for herself.
You're right.
So she's resourceful as well, because when, you know, Marnie was the responsible one. Marnie was the one that felt responsible for her, and when she finally put her foot down and let that go, then, you know, Hannah had other options to come in and kind of help take care of her.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we'll see. Well, I'm curious to see kind of how it's going to go now. She's absolutely going to need another roommate. She can't,
without a doubt. I'm like, she has this whole place to herself. She's making $200 barely an article.
Yeah.
But she's excited. Her very first article got published on the internet. So she's excited about that. And she wanted to do something with her money, really nice for her friends. So she goes to buy all organic, and she decides to make pad thai.
I know. That was just classic. You know, she's making pad thai, and we see Charlie and Audrey sitting in the living room, which kind of had me thrown for a second. I'm like, well, this could be interesting. And all of a sudden, like, Marnie walks in.
Very awkward.
She's so big on allegiance and loyalty. How do you invite your best friend's ex and his girlfriend to your dinner party, hoping that your best friend doesn't show?
Well, she's mad at Marnie, so she was, as she says in the episode, I was hoping that Marnie would just say no.
She had to invite her. She couldn't.
Her.
But she, like, in her mind, she couldn't not invite her. And also, Hannah is a classic, self-destructor. All right, she was prepared for that to happen. She kind of, I think, subconsciously wanted that to happen because she doesn't want anything to go right.
Right.
I think she absolutely set that up. And, she says, I invited her as a gesture, and I think it's kind of psychotic that she actually showed up because we're not on good terms right now. But then, as Audrey wants to leave, she's like, no, you guys don't leave. If anybody should leave, it's Marnie. So Marnie wants to leave. Nobody leave. I think she wanted that to happen on purpose as a punishment for Marnie for what she did.
I was going to say,
wow.
do you think
That's diabolical. Do you do that?
I was going to say, do you think, did you think she was doing that to be revengeful, to hurt her for her hurting
Vindictive.
her?
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to a cheesy, teeny bopper, early 2000s, late 90s movie that has one of the best quotes about girls fighting that I've ever heard, and it's actually Drive Me Crazy, that Melissa Joan Hart movie.
Oh, my God.
But when she talks about it, she says, when guys compete, they kind of talk about, how big is your slot, that sort of thing, but when girls compete, it's art. And I've always found that to be true because it's very passive aggressive. It's very underlining, and that's one of my favorite quotes ever because it's true.
But that's it's downright diabolical.
But it just but it is because it's not in your face. We're not gonna go and go have a boxing match. We're gonna do something in your face and be really, really nice to you. And it takes a lot of planning.
It's horrifying.
It's one of those things where it's almost like a chess match and almost like a dance where it's strategy. It's absolute strategy. And you're right, and I like that.
It makes my soul hurt.
I mean, it's funny that it came from that movie, but that's one quote that's always stood out to me because I think it's so true. And as you get older and the more girlfriends you have, you start to see that happening because it's very structured, it's very strategic.
Now, when you have two girls fighting over you, you'll see the dance.
Oh dear Lord.
But it also goes back it also goes back to Hannah and Elijah, their argument and having a conversation, and she's calling him a fink and saying, it was my mistake. I should have never repurposed you. That's what I'm talking about.
That was classic.
Yeah.
He's like, what am I, a sweater?
Yeah. But it's that kind of mentality that, and if you've ever had a breakup or you've ever been on the outs with a friend and you try to come back together, it always reminds you of why you're not friends and why you broke up in the first place.
Oh,
so second and third chances and all of that, usually in very rare form do they ever work out. Because it just, once those relationships are gone and you break up,
honey, you reach.
And I think that's kind of what we see in both instances here. Yeah. Because when you break up, all you can remember is the good stuff. All you remember is how in love you were and how great of friends you were. And you don't remember what made you break up until you're back together, and then you're like, that's why.
Yeah. Kellie is preaching, folks. If you are listening to the good word this Sunday morning, Kellie is on a roll.
It's a girl sermon right now.
Get it, girl.
But we see it played out in two different ways. With a friendship and with kind of a romantic relationship. Because I think Hannah not only... in some ways, she kind of wanted to have that boyfriend-girlfriend relationship back with Elijah without it actually being that, kind of like a placeholder. Because she's trying to focus on her career. She doesn't really know how she wants to date. And that's very easy to do when you have, a gay friend or a really close friend. It's easy to substitute them as your boyfriend because they're the ones always hanging out with you. There's always somebody to hang out with. And the lines get a little confused.
And we're just not seeing Adam anymore. Where did he go?
He's in prison.
I'm like, or Adam's in jail.
Jessa hasn't even mentioned it. I miss my boyfriend in prison. She hasn't said anything about it.
He's not her boyfriend in prison.
That's just crazy to me.
And remember, at that last episode when we saw Adam, she was physically hitting him, pushing him, and saying how much she did not want him there. She so hates him right now in her mind, I feel. Yeah. She just doesn't want to think about it.
I have a question. Do you think that she hasn't told anybody about what happened to Adam?
Oh, I don't think she's told anybody.
No, because of the way she came across during the dinner party where she's talking to Charlie. I think that she says things that have an underlying She may hint to it, but she won't be direct about it.
No, I think she'd talk about him stalking her and him chasing after her, but not that she called 911 and had him arrested.
Yeah.
I don't think she would add in those details. I think she would tell every part of the story aside from that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Did I leave that out? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's the same as we find out when, they're at this awkward dinner party and everybody's talking and laughing and Audrey's talking about starting her mustard company.
Yeah.
First it's sweet, then
Then it's spicy, then it's sweet again.
And I like how Hannah says, Marnie, we got to get our stuff together because, this girl's starting a mustard company. What have we ever done that's not
Condiments
great?
have we ever come up with?
Well, I like how Marnie's like, nothing that great, nothing with condiments. And these girls are taking little digs at each other. Very subtle.
It was
Again,
kind of
goes to
sarcastic. I wasn't sure. I was like, are they being, condescending or are they serious? Like,
No, I think on Marnie's case, she was definitely hating. She's like, so where'd you get your headband? That was a hating comment.
Yeah.
And it goes the same way, which, bursts out in the first place, after a while. But as they're sitting there talking and they're having a sex conversation and talking about how open you are in sexual positions, and they get into the whole butt plug conversation.
Yeah.
First, before you even get into that, Shoshanna, when she walks in with Ray,
Yeah.
I lost an earring in the cab, and then this is like, we're adults now. We can just say we had sex.
Right.
And she's like, she's so awkward about it.
And she's like, in a moment, like her heart breaks. She's just like, I'm so sorry I lied to you guys.
right. She's like,
so
I'm coming
cute.
clean. Wait, but can we talk about the dig of the hosting?
Yeah.
Where,
Yes.
that was a straight kind of slap in your face. Like, oh, so you're hosting like what, parties and
Or
stuff?
poetry
Or
night.
Poetry night.
Like a slam poetry night? No, I'm a hostess. Oh, so you show people where their table is when they come to your restaurant.
That was a good one.
That's good.
That was a good one.
I'm telling you, when girls compete, it's artistic. It's not,
But like that I understand. I understand sarcasm. I understand condescension. I understand like digs and like throwing something in somebody's face. But like inviting your friend that you're mad with to a party with her ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend there, and then making sure that none of them leave. That's diabolical. That's too much.
But it's the same as Marnie having sex with her best friend's ex-boyfriend in the living room of her best friend's apartment when she can walk in at any time. It's the same thing.
Is it the same thing?
It is. It is the same thing because in her mind, she, may not have been outwardly thinking that might not have been her whole plan. But as it starts to happen, things start to kind of run in your head.
But Marnie didn't seem upset at all.
No.
Like she wasn't bothered at all, she wasn't upset with Hannah at all, which I was
Yeah.
kind of surprised with. She kind of was just like, okay, punishment fits the crime.
Right, because she got it. She does kind of. Nobody deserves to be put in an awkward situation like that, but they're going back and forth with each other, and Marnie started it.
Yeah.
I like how Charlie's like, so what did she do? Oh, you don't want to know because it will hurt you. As she's holding that.
Yeah, and he's like, what, hurt me? What?
But she later on does admit to what Marnie had actually done.
Well, she
Yeah, but
it's
she
like
doesn't say who.
slips out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she
has-
doesn't-
She had gay sex.
Well, she says it at, towards the end of the dinner
when she's
party.
defending Marnie.
Yeah.
But mid-dinner party, as they're sitting at that table and they're talking about the butt plugs, and Shoshanna's like, how innocent she is, just really,
What
I
is
adore
so
her.
cute.
What is that? And Marnie's like, you take this one, kind of a thing, like throws it to Hannah to explain what it is. And she's like, Shosh, like, really? You don't know what it is? And the interaction between, that's when the body parts conversation goes into play. And
Which Ray started.
Ray started it, and then it jumped to Audrey and Marnie talking about Charlie's body
Butthole.
parts.
Well,
About his
no,
butthole.
but Ray started that. Because apparently Marnie doesn't like the word butthole. It's her trigger word. She doesn't like to hear it. So if you notice, Audrey says it like 4 times.
Right.
And she's
Butthole,
like, stop,
butthole,
stop,
butthole.
really stop. And then Ray says, maybe you don't like that word because you're thinking about Charlie's butthole that's now guarded by this cute little eccentric thing. And
was a low
that's how it
blow.
started. Which,
Well,
you know,
Ray is always, he's never liked Marnie.
he never liked Marnie and Charlie together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's where that came from.
Oh, because then you're dealing with the other element of the other best friend of who doesn't like the ex-girlfriend. Okay,
Right.
so we have Hannah and Ray going in on Marnie.
It's just
okay.
a table of haters.
Seriously.
And unfortunately, it was all directed at Marnie, which really wasn't fair to her. That sucks. But then, when Hannah does defend her, it's kind of one of those, I can be mean, but nobody else can be. And that's, because at the end of the day, that's still her friend. She's mad right now. She wants to punish her, but she's the only one that can do that. Nobody else can talk bad about her.
It's also Hannah's selfish way of saying, I mean, that's just her being selfish. You all can't be mad at her, but only I can.
Right. Right.
Only I have the right to be mad. I can't tell you why.
Right.
But everybody else lay off. She's had a rough year.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of go Audrey. Because I felt that it was true. I think that, Marnie was being a little bit psychotic with that. And just, and it's not fair. She's the one that pushed Charlie away. She's the one that was disgusted by him, didn't want to have anything to do with him, and didn't have the courage to break up with him for a long time and just treated him crappy. Now he's moved on. But he's always pined after her. He's obviously really in love with her, and she used that to her advantage, where she doesn't feel the same way. And for Audrey to call her out on that, I was like, hey, go girl.
For her to call her out, especially with the, oh, by the way, you came to his house in the middle of the night thing. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, how do you know this? And she's like, oh, he told me out of guilt. And you know what's really interesting? I think that because, Audrey in a few episodes back treated Charlie the same way that Marnie would.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think she's keeping and hanging on to Charlie because of the fact that if she lets him go, she knows he's going to go back to Marnie.
Right.
So it's that I have something that you want and I'm going to keep you. It's that dance. It's that nasty dance.
And I don't think he told her out of guilt. I think he told her in order to get her jealous. My ex-girlfriend still wants me. She came over in the middle of the night. She still needs me.
Could have been. Because of
he's
the way
playing strategically as well.
Yeah, because of the way that Audrey was treating him, which we saw from the party episode, the party scene a few episodes ago.
So then here's my question. Is he going, if he told her out of guilt, we don't know whether or not, but he kissed Marnie in this episode, is he going to tell Audrey?
I think this is all manipulation on Charlie's part. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does, especially
Charlie isn't that devious.
Considering,
He went after his old girlfriend in front of his new girlfriend. Come on.
It's
That's him being stupid.
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't see that. I don't see that as a directed thing. Not everything is a chess game. It may be on your side of the table, but with in that case, he cares about Marnie, and he doesn't think about the fact that Audrey's going to be upset.
But what does that say about his relationship with Audrey?
It's garbage.
It's superficial.
Exactly.
It's
That's
temporary.
what I'm saying. That's horrible. He has this girlfriend, but she's only awesome and cute and wonderful and whatever because Marnie rejected him on the roof.
You know what? I think that what's going to wind up happening with Charlie, and this is where the manipulation comes in, it's the fact that he is like a wounded puppy dog, and he goes and he kisses her, and the moment that she says that she's seeing someone and that it's Booth Jonathan, the way he does it, he's like, you can't have this anymore, and then he points directly at his junk like you can't have any of this anymore. And I think that that's going to be one of the things that brings him back to Audrey, and it's like, yeah, even though I left you, I'm sorry baby, but she's crazy, like, we kissed on the roof, and but she's with someone else.
I think he thought that Marnie was being sensitive, and he saw that as an opportunity to go upstairs and try to take advantage of the situation. I think he saw that she was affected, and he was like, dang, this is my window, my open, my gate in order to get my ex back, and let me just go for it.
Because let's not forget, Audrey is Charlie's rebound girl. They started dating a week after Marnie and him broke up, and she is basically the second girl he's ever dated. Pretty much. I mean, we don't know how many girls he may have dated before Marnie in college, but they were together for 5 years.
High school doesn't count.
Yeah. So this is the only girl he's ever dated as an adult other than his ex, and she's his rebound girl. So he's not going to behave logically. He has no game, first of all.
Right.
He has no game, but he also doesn't know how to protect himself or the person that he's with. He doesn't know courtesy.
Yeah, but when he comes down from the roof after being rejected, all of a sudden, oh, where did Audrey go? And then when he's having the conversation with Hannah after everyone leaves, and he calls Marnie, a cunt and whatever, and she said, which is horrible. That's like horrible. That's worse than calling somebody a bitch.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Yeah, that's a horrible thing to say. Well, when he's doing all of that and he says, my girlfriend's so sweet and awesome and wonderful. Oh, now she is, because you just tried to make out with your ex and she didn't want you. So then you go back and now all of a sudden Audrey's so awesome.
I mean, and the fact that Hannah laid it down. She's like, she lost her job, she lost her relationship, she lost the friendship, she slept with a gay man, but she never elaborates with who.
What gay man?
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting situation to say the least. But the other interesting situation that really kind of got me was Shoshanna's finding out about Ray at that dinner party.
Right.
Yes.
But right before that, I just want to make reference to when Charlie finds out about Booth Jonathan, and he's like, "What? No, the Ewok in capri pants." I just love that. And she's like, "He's a brilliant artist,
And he's a normal-sized man.
average height.
Yeah, he's average height. Yeah.
But okay." I don't understand how she can really think that they're actually like. Why would she want to date someone from that awkward encounter that we
God.
witnessed last?
She just said seeing. That's not anything more serious than just that.
But-
she sees him and he bangs her funny.
But that's not why she didn't kiss Charlie back. It wasn't because of the other gentleman, because we already know that she's capable of cheating. It was
Right.
because she still doesn't want Charlie. So I think she used that as an excuse for rejection.
I think she did it to hurt him on top of her being hurt at that dinner
When did
party
she
by
ever
his new
cheat?
girlfriend.
Well, no, I'm just saying that she's. Remember when she was kind of having an affair with him? Kind of.
No, she wasn't having an affair. She masturbated to him. That was all.
Yeah, that's all she
That's
did.
kind of cheating.
Well, she just lusted after him,
Yeah.
and
She was spending
she
quality
kept it
time
to
with
herself.
him. She was mentally cheating. She was spending quality time with him, walking down, the little pier with him,
going
and
back and forth.
Yeah.
She was, passing by his house. So she was on the verge of it, but she never technically
there
did.
was no insertion of any type.
Well,
but
they didn't really have. The only encounter that we know of is the one time after the art show that they had that really intense encounter. She went home and masturbated, and we only find out from Hannah that she kind of stalked him, like going back and forth in front of his house, but there was no real interaction with them.
Right.
And we don't know if that happened before or after the breakup with Charlie.
Right.
That could have happened after, like, oh, okay, well, I have another option.
Yeah, so
let me just stalk him.
technically she really didn't cheat, even though she was already, but she had already checked out of that relationship, so her
Yeah.
mind was
Right.
already somewhere else. But she didn't technically cheat on him. So
very true. But I swear I thought that there was something in Hannah's journal that had led to the impression that Marnie was, didn't respect Charlie and was mentally cheating.
no, didn't respect. Yeah, she basically called him, like a little girl, and she didn't like that. And it was, that was kind of the whole journal thing, was that she just was, when Marnie was saying that, he felt it was like kissing her uncle or something.
But Charlie obviously was semi jealous of what's his name?
Booth Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was some of that there because there was already some tension from when they were together. He remembers exactly who that gentleman was.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Well,
So, back to
Shoshana
Ray.
and Ray.
Yes.
Shosh and Ray. She's sitting there, and there's the conversation during the awkward dinner party where they're asking, so, are you still staying at this one place? And he's like, no, my aunt's back from rehab, and so I'm kind of in between places, and where
it
are
was
you
his
staying?
godmother, right?
His godmother.
His godmother.
Yeah, and it's like, where are you staying? Well, I'm staying, here and there. And then Shoshana starts clicking with it. And she starts to realize, well, you stayed with me Monday, and then you stayed with me Tuesday, and then Thursday, and last week, and every day. And do you live with me? Like, that was the most bizarre way to find out, and the most awkward moment yet again during this dinner party.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was very awkward that Hannah kept probing him. Well, who are you staying
Yeah.
with? Who specifically? Where, why?
She was being
Where?
nosy.
Very nosy.
Well, maybe because she needs a roommate.
Oh my God, that would be the worst ever. He hates Hannah. I mean,
Still a place to stay.
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh God! Oh God!
maybe.
If that, I wonder if that's what's gonna happen next week.
Oh,
That'd be a good AfterBuzz prediction.
I think it's going to go a different way, but we'll get into that in predictions.
Yeah, I think we're thinking
We're on the same page.
but-
Yeah.
But we find out that Ray has been living. If he hasn't been staying with Shoshana, he's been living out of his Mitsubishi.
Yes.
Which is really sad.
Yeah.
Really, really
and we
sad.
also learned that he is 33.
Yes, as soon as he said that, I thought about you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we knew he was old. Or
We did
Yeah.
that. He was in late 20s, early 30s. Now we have it 12 years age gap.
Yes.
Between him and Shoshana.
She's 21.
21. He's
that is
33.
really young to be dating someone.
No, not
Like
necessarily.
for you to be 33 dating a 21-year-old, she just she barely got out of college.
She's still in college.
Yeah, no, she's
even
still in
worse.
college. Yeah.
Okay, see, she's still young. She hasn't even experienced
I
life.
don't think that they meant for this whole dating thing to happen between them. I think that it became the sexual thing. They get along. They have similar mindsets when they're having conversations, and it just naturally happened.
Yeah, I think so
and
too.
there's also the girls are more mature than men, so mentally he's probably on her page than we realize.
Right.
So it doesn't have to make sense. But as we see during this episode, they're sitting downstairs waiting for the train, and we find out that she's falling in love with him. And, you know, he
says it's too early for that.
Yeah.
It's way too early for that.
Then this is a great scene. He's like, that's a crazy thing to say. And he says that because he's been thinking it too, but he hasn't said it because it's a crazy thing to say.
Well, and not only, he thinks he's a loser. He thinks that he says, I'm a loser, just say it, I'm a loser. Because she tells him, you know, you don't really do anything. You know, all you do is go to work. You basically have no ambition. There's, you know, nothing that you're doing. And she's just realizing all this, and she's saying it out loud. And then that's what he says, just say it, I'm a loser. You know, why would you even want to date me? Why am I worth it? And
I've been counting down the days until you found out.
Until you realized it. And that's when she says, you know, well, I'm falling in love with you. And then he, you know, says that it's too early, it's crazy, and then he just is like, I fucking love you so much.
Yeah.
Aww.
And she's just kind of stunned, and she's like, what? And then he repeats himself, and it's so cute, because you can tell he's really down on himself. He doesn't have, you know, high self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know,
She's the one good thing in his life.
Right.
And maybe she'll be the one to motivate him to do something better, because sometimes that's all you need is someone
Pushing
to give you a little extra push.
It's hard to put yourself out there and be the first one to say that I love you, but she took that leap of faith, and it's such a relief when you get to hear it back.
Yes.
Especially that
Yes.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of see on her face that she was kind of like, what? Like, it was like a shock, but it was also like joy in it as well.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
you can live with me.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I hope it was serious. I hope he wasn't just saying that in order to have a free, you know, hall pass to stay with her.
I think it was serious.
My favorite part, though, is when they're at the dinner table. She's like, I wish I would have known that you were living with me, because I could have called my aunt and gotten some advice, bought some new linen. Like, her mindset and her idea of how it's supposed to go down is, I think, how a lot of people, especially in your, you know, as a teenager in your early 20s, you know, growing into your adulthood, we have this idea of how it should go down, but the reality is how that went down is sometimes how it goes down.
Yeah. It just happens.
It happens. One day you're like, dude, you're here all the time, and you need to be paying half the rent.
Something.
Come on.
Sorry, guys. That was a laugh cough.
Look at this
That's so true. Right. You know what I'm saying?
But they're cute, and I really want them to pull through this, and I want to see her be that better influence for him and make a change in him, and I want him to come out and, you know, do something else aside from just his little
But I have a question.
job.
They're 12 years apart in age. You know, she's going to NYU. She's going to have a career. She has passion. She has all these things. He, as he put it, is a loser. Do you think that there really, really, really is a future in this relationship?
Absolutely. You don't have to have an education like that to succeed. You really don't.
Right.
All you need to have is drive and determination. Somebody said this to me once. Persistence and determination equal achievement. And when you're motivated and you are persistent on doing something to better yourself, it doesn't matter if you've got a master's, because I know people that have masters that are waiting tables. You know, it doesn't matter where you are. Street smart sometimes is just as good as being book smart.
Yeah.
But that's not even what I mean. What I mean is, you know, say they're still in this relationship 5 years down the road. You know, he's 38 and she's 26.
Unless he really steps it up and actually gets on a career path of his own, I absolutely don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
He's going to have, because of her ambition and the way that she just sees life and the kind of life I think that she wants to have, is she wants to be independent. She wants to do these different things. She is career driven. So he's going to have to step it up like tenfold in order to keep up with her, because that's going to be...
She's going to change a lot.
Yeah.
She still doesn't even know who she is.
Yeah.
Really.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think this is an end game relationship.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a good one for both of them as far as growth and change. I mean, he's 12 years behind on where he should be, but I think this is going to give him a little bit of an extra push to kind of maybe hurry up and catch up, you know, to kind of be where he should be at this point in his life.
Fair enough.
Maybe.
Speaking of playing catch up, Jessa and her husband.
Oh,
Thomas
gosh, I
John.
know. But real quick, let me remind you guys to please go to iTunes. You can subscribe to our podcast. It's free. Rate and comment and let us know what you think about these relationships. You know, we read them. We appreciate all of your comments on YouTube as well. So make sure to do that. We want to be in the top 10 over here at AfterBuzz. So give us 5 stars, please.
Yes.
Please. Jessa and Thomas John.
The dynamic is now starting to show of the differences of who they are as individuals. And, you know, he comes from this hoity-toity family. He's a successful guy. And she's this free hippie spirit, which we knew at some point would start to clash.
Yeah.
And this episode, we started to see that. Especially, I mean, he's running around. He's crazy. He's like, we can't be late to dinner.
She's meeting his parents for the first time. So this is a very significant part of their relationship. His parents were not invited to the wedding, and so this is the first interaction where we get to see the real Thomas John, because there's nothing like your parents to bring out the real you and end your little frivolous I want to be a free spirit if you're really not one. They're the ones that are going to set you straight, and the real you comes out, and that's kind of what we see. And, you know, I like how she comes out in her dress with her crimped hair and, you know, just very bohemian, like,
Did you guys notice that she's put on some weight?
Well, I think she's trying to,
Oh, okay.
In real life, she did. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, wait, she's getting a little thick. Is she pregnant?
Boobs were very beautiful. I'm like, I hate you. Nice boobies. But, you know, she's sitting on the couch and she's like, you know, this is the good one. He's like, oh, let me see the bad one.
You know, he's like, how much time? She's like, how much time do we have? Because she obviously
Not
is
enough time for that.
Not really like excited to go meet his parents. You know, she doesn't like that they're early and very structured, and you know, she doesn't want to go to a steakhouse because she only wants to eat spinach. She only eats meat when she's menstruating.
But you already know going to meet the in-laws is going to be a challenging or awkward situation.
Right, but does she know that? Because she doesn't really, I don't feel like her character really knows how conventional life works. You know, her mom was a free spirit like she was, traveled around a lot. She's been all over the place and not really had, this is the most structure I feel like she's had in her life in a very long time.
Her mom's only worked once.
Yeah. Didn't like it very much.
And she doesn't know what to say. Like, I feel like, I feel like she doesn't know better. She's, you know, she doesn't have a filter.
Yeah, she doesn't care what she says. Like, she's just very brutally honest with who she is as a person, and she's like, love it or leave it.
Yeah, she's very confident in herself.
Yeah.
To a point where she's not embarrassed about anything that's happened in her life. I mean, I don't think she has a lot of necessarily like self-respect and like that sort of thing, because she wouldn't be in these weird situations if she did. But I think as far as her past goes, she's accepted it. This is who I am. This is my life. And, you know.
But if you know, she was really invested in this relationship, you know, at some level, you have to accept that you're going to put on your best face for your husband's parents, because you it's important to him.
Right, but I don't think that she's. I don't think it is her style.
Yeah.
I don't think she's all for number one, and I don't think that she feels like she should have to change who she is for anybody, not even her husband or his parents.
Oh yeah, as we see it escalate throughout the episode. But I like how when they're sitting at the table and his mother
just keeps
is
needling,
probing her as far as like work and, well, I travel. Why do you travel? Well, why do people travel? They travel just to travel. Mostly Europe, but I have to avoid Spain, which I thought was hilarious. But it's the fact that his mom was like, you know, for work or for whatever the reason may be. Did you notice that his dad was really taking a liking to her?
Oh, his dad was totally enamored with her and just her free spirit. And I mean, I think he found her very attractive.
Yeah.
And he just liked that whole thing. And, you know, the parents were played by some fantastic actors. Who was it? Griffin Dunn.
Deborah Rush.
Deborah Rush. And Griffin Dunn, he's always like this weird, quirky, like semi-inappropriate character in a lot of stuff that he does. And I love it. But he, you know, talks about how his favorite movies are teen love dramas.
Yeah, Schoolgirls in Love.
Schoolgirls in
And she's like, right on, yes. And when he was like, I've always wanted to know what heroin is like.
I like that she went and she said that straight out.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you know, when I got out of rehab or whatever, when she was talking about traveling, and she's like, oh, well, you're back on the drink. It's like, no, actually, I went to rehab for heroin. I didn't smoke it, though. I snorted it.
And that's important. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
But I love how his dad was like, oh, you know, she's like, I got out of rehab. And he's like, oh, and you're back on the drink. Good for you. And she's like, no, I've been drinking since I was a child. It's not alcohol. It was heroin.
She was like 10 or something.
That's not the first impression you want to make with somebody's parents.
No, when you know, backtrack a little. When she first gets to the restaurant, they show up late. The parents are kind of irritated by that. And what she says is, I hate this restaurant, but I was so excited to meet you, I didn't even care. And then it's like a little bit of an awkward silence. And it's like, okay, who's hungry? I'll go get the table. And then she's like,
And she's,
oi!
oi!
But he's constantly like trying to defend her a little bit. Every comment that she makes. Well,
Yeah.
for the record, she hasn't done any heroin in front of me since we've been married. Like, I'm just like, whoa.
She was hurt by that, I think. I feel like that was kind of like...
I think she was more hurt when he started saying to the mother, like, she's an artist who's going to get into graphic design. Like,
Yeah.
did you see the look on her face? She was like,
No.
when did you get that impression
Yeah.
about graphic design?
Well, that she obviously knew that he was lying for her
Yeah.
because he wants them to have this certain
Because
impression.
he was concerned that she wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
for
and
his
then the mother
parents.
calls it out and says, this is a successsul situation for you.
Yeah, and he's
like
still
situation.
Yeah, he still tries to defend like this is a union, this is a marriage. I mean, because his mother's like, what else do I call it? Because she obviously doesn't think that this is real. That this is, and to this, and we had talked about this before. It's basically them playing house. They don't know each other. They don't. Thomas John was trying to be something that he wasn't, and Jessa just is who she is.
Yeah.
Well, they wind up saying really mean and hurtful things when they get home. And you can tell that the dinner did not go well, that he's frustrated, she's frustrated.
She's crazy. I'm going to look 50 when I'm 30.
Yeah.
Because she's had so many life experiences.
Because
and
she's been
hasn't.
drinking since she was a child, and she snorted heroin, and she smokes all day, every day. That's why. She's going to look like Nico. She's going to be super fat. That's what she said.
But they start taking digs at each other to the point where he offers her money to leave the relationship. And I thought that was just awful.
I like how he says to her, I'm a unicorn.
Yes.
You're just a dumb hipster munching on my hay.
Yes, and he tells her, and she tells him, "I'm so embarrassed that you're so average."
Yeah.
I tell, you
go ahead.
have it? I was gonna say, I tell my friends you're a test tube baby just so you have a little edge. That was
Brutal.
She took a low blow. That was like uppercut right there.
Yeah.
What was it? Because it's this is the worst mistake I ever made. He's like, what did he call her, a hooker?
No,
No,
he says
whore.
this is why I like hookers. It's because they're respectful. They don't come in and try to change my life. They just come in, do business, and basically leave.
And he's like, they don't put little Buddhas all over the house so it looks like we're having sex in front of little fat babies.
I love that. No, but he does call her a whore with no work ethic, and that's when she punches him in the face.
And that was just that
No,
was
I think she
wrong.
punched. Did she
Cold-cocked
punch
him.
him?
She punched him.
She punched him.
Him in the nose. No, she punched him.
She punched him in the face.
She sucker punched him.
how
It was
Jessa.
awesome.
Because you don't take it there. You don't go to the whore. Like, you
No.
don't go there.
And then at that point, he starts offering. He's like, well, how much would it take for you to leave? And she's like, $30,000.
Which is not nearly enough.
No, absolutely
I thought
not.
30,000 was like very low. And
It
then when
was
they,
very
it was
low.
very
and then
low.
when they start negotiating, she was like, she winds up at 11.5 because he
Yeah.
offers her 10,000. But that's nothing. You can't
Yeah.
even like pay your.
Well, no, I don't think that's
college
the end
loan
of
back
this
with that.
because once they start going through divorce proceedings and all that, I think it's going to get a little bit more intense.
She's
But
a smart chick.
Yeah.
She's going to go for half, if not all.
and and he tells her, whatever you want, just you're just somebody that goes and ruins people's lives because you're bored.
Which I would say true.
I mean, how off base is that?
It's
What?
not.
It's not.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he's right.
And she hated hearing that because as she's standing on the staircase and she goes and she reaches for his humanitarian award and is
It's
like,
Hume.
he's like, no, don't do it. And she's like,
And I do think that is wrong. I do not believe that in breakups you should break material possessions because they cannot be replaced. I just want
Yeah.
to put that out there that was just wrong.
well, especially something like that, like
Yeah.
dishes or things like that, like whatever.
Oh, dishes are okay.
I mean, you can buy more
wanted
dishes.
Kelly says dishes are okay, folks.
No, I never think violence is good. I'm just
Break his
saying.
mother's china.
You heard it here, folks. Kellie O is violent.
Breaking nothing. There should be nothing that you should
No,
break. No
yeah.
slashing of the cars. No anything. Just take your
No,
stuff and let each other go.
That was one thing that I always found to be ridiculous with girls and some of my friends that get really. I've had friends that have gotten really ridiculous in breakups and do the tire slashing and the car egging
crazy.
and the hacking into emails and bank statements. And
That's
I'm like,
normal.
no. No.
There's crazy and then normal.
Pause. Bank statements?
What?
Well, I wouldn't say bank statements, but cell phone records or
Okay.
No, I had a friend that
Facebook, Twitter.
would hack into all of that.
All is wrong. Okay.
Yes, it's take your stuff and go.
But what winds up happening is she goes back to her normal haven of Hannah House, where everybody goes when
Something's wrong.
Yeah, when something's wrong, or they need a place to stay. She's now taking in folks, and I think that we're gonna see Jessa wind up, moving back in with Hannah.
Well, I mean, first of all, she moved into the bathtub with her.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I'm sorry, but I have some best friends. But getting in a bathtub with me when I'm in a bath, no.
You know what I realized when it came to that interaction between her and Jessa? This is the interaction that I think Marnie all along has hated about Jessa. It's the fact that they have a bigger connection than all of them.
Yeah.
And Marnie never quite understood it until we understand it because we're seeing it as it unfolds. But for her to get into the bathtub and just start crying, she still hasn't said what's going on.
Yeah.
Then she throws the snot rocket in the tub. And they're pushing it back and forth.
gross.
I was like, whoa, dude. But yeah, you're right.
But that's closer than close. That's like
that
real comfort and friendship.
But Hannah's always been awkward when it comes to close interactions with friends. I mean, we opened the first scene of the first episode of the first season with Hannah in the bathtub and Marnie shaving her legs.
And Hannah's eating a cupcake in the bathtub. Like, it's always very weird. I think she craves that kind of closeness. That's why it's okay with her.
Sleeping with Elijah, snuggling with Marnie.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be Jessa. I think, and we'll get into that in predictions, but to see their interaction, the way that it unfolded in the bathtub, just like, here, I'm here for you. It's okay. You don't have to cry. And then they go and they hold the hands as the episode closes to Wonderwall.
Yeah.
And it was just...
we see that when Jessa comes in, Hannah's singing Wonderwall
to herself, which is like such a great little moment because like who doesn't do that when they're alone?
But why would I just don't understand why she wasn't pressuring Jessa to tell her what is wrong. Usually we would be like, no, oh my gosh, tell me what's going on.
That's just not how Hannah is.
And that's not how Jessa is. Jessa's not one to reveal it so
I think she was giving her own time. Let her, because how many times would we actually see Jessa break down and cry? So I think it's kind of one of those things when you know your friends and you have those close relationships, sometimes you just got to give them a minute.
Yeah.
Just let her do her thing. I just know that I'm going to be right. Because sometimes that's all you want. You don't want anybody to talk. You don't want anybody's opinion. You just want somebody to sit there with you and let you have your minute, but you just need somebody there.
Thank you.
Now, was she crying because she was having a failed marriage and she's disappointed, or is she crying because she just got into an argument, or now she doesn't have a place to stay?
I think it's
where were those tears coming from?
It's a combination.
I thought she was crying because he told her that she ruins people's lives when she's bored. And I felt like that hit her close to home. And I think that it was a little bit of a revelation. And maybe I think that was the worst thing he could have said aside from everything else.
The truth hurts. And when it comes from somebody that you supposedly love and married,
Yeah.
it stings. It really, really stings. And I think it broke her down.
Yeah.
Him calling her a whore, saying that she's bored. Like, there was a series of things that were said in that fight that broke her down.
But I think that the ruining people's lives because you're bored was worse than being called a whore.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, people say that kind of stuff when they're mad, but this was something that it was actually kind of true to form.
true.
And that's what's hardest to hear.
Oh, girls, we love you.
I know.
Well,
But we found out that the puppies were taken back to the pet shop, so they're not dead.
Poor Hanukkah. Poor Hanukkah.
And garbage.
Yeah, well, let's get into some predictions and see what we think for next week.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, Miriam, go.
All right. I think that Jessa and Hannah are going to become roommates.
Ooh, that's what I was gonna say.
think that we have yet to see the last of the Audrey, Marnie, Charlie triangle. I think that with Hannah, she's going to be writing more of her stories. She's going to be writing more of these crazy articles. I think we're going to see more of her adventures while doing so. And as far as Ray and Shosh, they're just going to slowly develop into this new venture of growth together.
Okay. What about you, Matt?
Well, can we talk about the scenes from next week? Have you guys seen the sneak peek?
I did, yeah. I was going to mention that too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, we've got Patrick Wilson coming
Love
in. Hannah's going to leave her job at Cafe Grubby, which is why I thought maybe he might move in there or crash there for a while, just because she's like, this is a poisonous relationship. She doesn't want to work with the same person that she lives with potentially. So I think she's going to wind up working for Patrick Wilson and getting involved with him as well. And it's going to be really kind of crazy. Ray and Shosh, it's going to continue to blossom and get more complicated. Marnie, if she's still really seeing Booth Jonathan, we have to see that relationship develop or end.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see her start to come out of her shell a bit, dating this weird friggin' artist.
More awkward sex.
Yeah, more awkward, terrible sex. Come on, girls. You know what we want. Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay.
I think that Marnie's going to find him sleeping with other people and having awkward sex with other people, and she's going to take it personally because she thinks in her mind, I think that it's more serious than what it is, and she's going to find out that she's just his muse.
Ooh, and go back to Charlie.
Yep, and then she's going to seek refuge with Charlie like usual.
Well, I would like to see, I think that Marnie is going to use him to get back into the art world. I think that she's going to come to and realize that this is an artist that bounces around and this is not going to be a long-term relationship. But if she wants to kind of leap back in and stop being a hostess and get her, get it together, I think she could potentially use that relationship to do so.
Yeah.
And I'll be very surprised if Jessa does become Hannah's roommate because how is she going to pay rent? She doesn't have a job. She doesn't.
She's $11,000.
Right, but that's not going to go very far,
It's a start.
It is a start, but I don't know. We'll see with that. But I also want to see Shoshanna and Ray, and I want to see them, kind of blossom and all of that. And I really hope Charlie doesn't kind of take Marnie back. I mean, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelly.
I'm tired
And
of
he's
seeing
a
him.
jerk.
I want him to kind of put his foot down and basically have that conversation.
Yeah.
What do you want? I'm not just here to take care of you. Like, what is it that you want from me? Because it's so not fair, that push and pull. So, I don't know. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. We hope you have a fantastic Super Bowl Sunday. Make sure to follow us at AfterBuzz TV, and you can follow me at Kelly with an IE 079.
And you can play with my Twitter at spicy_Mari.
You can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MATTLIEBERMAN.
And you can find me, Miriam L. Gonzalez, on Twitter.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yay!
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.